fundraising for Luigi. Oh, Luigi, you're a hero. You made people know that these healthcare insurers are bad. What? We've even got the video of the guy, this coward, going up. You know what a guy is who goes up behind a man and 6 feet away and points a gun in his back and fires? A coward, a stone-cold coward, a punk, a miscreant, a degenerate, an evil, twisted monster. And you want to tell me that he's a hero? You need help. If you see anything noble about gunning down the CEO of United Healthcare, you got some big problems going on in your life. I pray I got nobody in my life who's capable of that kind of evil. And now this kid who comes from a very wealthy family, this young man, this monster, if the police are correct and he did this, this guy is evil personified. He's got, I'm sure, the best lawyers money can buy, who's rushing to CNN. Here's his lawyer last night, Thomas Dickey, on CNN.
My anticipation is going to be when and if that happens, he's going to plead not guilty. I mean, we've seen no evidence. We've seen nothing. And I was reminding people today about, you talk about America a little bit and what some wonderful things about this country, and particularly in the criminal justice system, and that's the presumption of innocence. And I don't want people to jump to, these prejudgment things, that because nobody would ever want that if they were accused or one of their loved ones were accused. And was the big hearing today, I haven't seen any evidence yet. I don't even know if this is him or whatever. So we're going to test those waters and give the government a chance to bring some evidence forward.
My apologies. That was from News Nation last night, not CNN. That's Thomas Dickey. I don't know anything about him, but look him up. I guarantee you he is a blue chip lawyer with a very good pedigree, because the Mangione family is wealthy. So this guy's going to get a great, vigorous legal defense. Geraldo's back. He's popping up. He's always good for a laugh or two. Here he was on CNN last night, Geraldo Rivera.
Looking back to some of the cases from a decade or more ago, when we see people praise murderers, people like Jodi Arias, where they look at these murderers, they create fan clubs for them. And we're starting to see that already with Luigi Mangione being a physically attractive young man. And you see these women on TikTok and other places that are praising him because of what he looks like. And it's a lot of young women are posting that.
That's reasonable, I think. You want to dig the guy's six-pack, that's fine. But you fall into a trap when you get into the substance of his beef. That's it. Now he's succeeded. So now he's pulled us in. Now the focus is not on Luigi, it's on Thompson. It's on the victim and what the victim does and what the victim has done.
Now, I rarely agree with Geraldo Rivera on anything, but he is right. This has created a discussion about health care insurers, and that makes no sense to me. This isn't the time to talk about the merits of health care insurance. This is a place where we ought to talk about a guy being gunned down in broad daylight and the bizarre infatuation that people have with his alleged killer. You heard the CNN Geraldo take. Here's the MSNBC take, somebody named Jason Johnson last night.
We worship vigilante violence. We worship action heroes. We worship Charles Bronson and all these people who take it into their own hands. Al Capone, criminals and everything else like that. I think the sad part about this, frankly, is that I am not going to pretend that in a country that's been started and operated off violence, that violence doesn't sometimes solve things. Any crazy person who views somebody as the genesis of all their problems can go out and do this. And that's what happens when you have a country that worships violence and a country where you don't regulate guns.
Right, exactly.
Because if you couldn't get access to guns, this probably doesn't happen.
That's Joy Reid and her guest, Jason Johnson. And here's more from the the murder suspect's attorney, Thomas Dickey. He was making the rounds. He bounced around from News Nation to CNN, I guess, pleading the case for his client who is accused of this brutal assassination of Brian Thompson, the CEO of United Healthcare.
My understanding from my staff is people are doing that.
That people are reaching out to you and offering to help pay for his legal bills.
That's correct.
Would you accept those offers? I mean, I imagine you maybe have, I don't know, have you ever gotten that before?
Nah, to be honest with you, I probably wouldn't.
Why do you think you would not accept that?
I don't know. I just I don't know. I just don't feel comfortable about that. So I don't know. I haven't given that much thought, but I'm not looking, obviously my client appreciates the support that he has, but I don't know. I just, I'd have to look in, but it just doesn't sit right with me, really.
Why do you think they're offering?
I don't know. People, you talk about, the Supreme Court says, all these rich billionaires can give all kind of money to candidates, and that's free speech. So maybe these people are exercising their right to free speech and saying that's the way they're supporting my client.
I am absolutely in the twilight zone. I feel like I'm having a breakdown. I'm having a mental breakdown. That's a conversation on national television. Well, I don't know. Citizens United. People can donate to political action committees. Why not exercise your free speech right to donate to Luigi Mangione, who is accused of sneaking up behind a husband and a father, a nice guy by a lot of accounts. We got an email from somebody who said that they were a limo driver for a period of time for Brian Thompson, said he was a kind, gracious, generous guy. And we're having this kind of conversation? There's a GoFundMe campaign underway to raise money for his legal bills? And the whole thing, access to guns, that dummy over on CNN, or MSNBC rather, it was allegedly one of those 3D kits, 3D printed. Access wasn't the issue. This guy is said to be pretty brilliant, intelligent, knew what he was doing, and created one of those so-called ghost guns. How are you going to stop ghost guns? That's a big thing for Biden. So let me get this straight. I don't even understand how 3D printers work. I guess you can print anything. You can make components, and somehow you could create, through a 3D printing process, a gun, and Biden wants to regulate that. How are you going to Democrats want to regulate ghost guns. How are you going to regulate something that somebody makes in their basement? You make a ghost gun, and what are you going to do? How do you regulate that? You're going to go call the FBI and say, can you give me a serial number for my gun that I made from my 3D printer? I swear I'm going to go back to the Caribbean. I got one more hour, and I'm back. This is obviously an evil, twisted, possibly unhinged young man who had some beef with health insurers and decided to slaughter a husband and a father of two young children, and he's got people cheering him on, praising him, fundraising for him. There's tens of thousands. You know how depressed I am about doing everything I can. I'm laying it all out. I'm putting it all out on the line here. I'm leaving it all on the field to try to get kids sponsored for Christmas time. And I'm so worried we're not going to hit our goal of 5,400 kids. We got quite a ways to go. What I would give for $40,000 for the Angel Tree campaign, that's what they've raised already for Luigi Mangione. 40,000 people have given this alleged monster $40,000 as part of his legal defense fund. Now, he comes from a super rich family. He doesn't need any assistance. But people are so infatuated with this kid that they're supporting him. And I am so blown away by the lack of knowing right from wrong. Whatever you think of the healthcare insurance business, you don't go creep up behind a guy at 6:45 in the morning and riddle his body full of bullets. This man, I got a note from a guy who claims to be was a limo driver for Brian Thompson, and said he was the kindest, gentlest, most gracious guy he ever worked for. We're going to try to track this limo driver down, see if he'll be willing to come on the show and share his story. I don't like the thought of people being denied coverage. I don't like people struggling to find health insurance that they can afford. But A plus B doesn't equal C. You don't turn around and say, well, in order to spotlight the problem that people have of not being able to afford health insurance, we're going to slaughter, we're going to assassinate, we're going to murder executives of the healthcare industry, and the people that do that are heroes. That's a total breakdown of society. That is a complete moral abdication. And I'm on the verge of just moving on from it because I can't stand it anymore. I'm so aggravated at this story. I'm so annoyed and confused. Again, you text me and you email me and you call me at 800-655-MIKE and you tell me, boy, I got denied coverage 5 years ago. I hate the insurance industry. Boy, I can't afford my premiums. I hate what they do. They're greedy. I get all that. I'm not going to disagree with the bad experience you had, but you can't turn around and say you're cheering the assassination of one of its CEOs. You know how nuts you are to say that? Do you even recognize? Do you hear yourself? Oh, well, it has to be done. What do you mean it has to be done? What is this, like the purge? We're going to sit around and justify who gets to get killed? I don't even know how to form words, and I form words for a living, and I am this close to moving on. You tell me, do you want to talk about it, or do you agree with my instincts? Usually my instincts are pretty good. Usually my instincts are pretty solid. And my instinct right now is I'm going to start avoiding this like the plague, because all it is poison.